The night everything fell apart, he sat alone in silence. No phone calls. No comforting words. Just the sound of his own thoughts echoing louder than ever before. Hours passed, yet something unexpected happened. He didn't break. Instead, he noticed a quiet strength rising within him. A realization formed: the world hadn't changed, but he had. In that moment, he understood something most people never do: strength isn't built when life is easy. It's forged when everything feels like it's slipping away. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll discover how to build that same unshakable mindset within yourself. There's a powerful truth most people avoid: you don't control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. The Stoic mind doesn't waste energy fighting reality. Instead, it accepts what is and focuses only on what can be shaped. When you stop resisting life and start mastering your reactions, something shifts. You become calm in chaos, focused in confusion, unmoved by things that once controlled you. This is where real power begins. Pain is not your enemy. In fact, it's one of your greatest teachers. Most people run from discomfort, but the Stoic embraces it. Why? Because every challenge carries a lesson, and every setback builds resilience. The more you lean into difficulty instead of avoiding it, the stronger your mind becomes. Over time, things that once felt unbearable will barely shake you. That's how mental toughness is built, quietly, consistently, without applause. Your emotions are powerful, but they should never be your master. When you let anger, fear, or frustration control your actions, you give away your power. The Stoic approach is different. It observes emotions without being ruled by them. It creates space between feeling and reaction. That space is where discipline lives. And discipline is what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who stand firm no matter what. One of the greatest strengths you can develop is the ability to let go. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every opinion matters. Not every battle is worth fighting. When you learn to release what you cannot control, you free your mind from unnecessary weight. Imagine walking through life without carrying the burden of things that don't serve you. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Silence is another hidden weapon. In a world where everyone feels the need to react, respond, and prove something, the Stoic chooses stillness. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the power of restraint. When you stop reacting impulsively, people begin to notice something different about you. A quiet confidence. A grounded presence. That's the kind of energy that commands respect without demanding it. You must also learn to stand alone. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone will support your growth. And that's okay. The Stoic doesn't depend on external validation. Their strength comes from within. When you stop seeking approval and start trusting yourself, you become unshakable. Because now, your worth is no longer tied to anyone else's opinion. Discipline is the foundation of everything. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. It's what gets you up when you don't feel like it. It's what keeps you focused when distractions are everywhere. The Stoic doesn't wait to feel ready, they act regardless of how they feel. And over time, this consistency builds a level of mental strength that most people will never reach. Gratitude may seem simple, but it's incredibly powerful. When you train your mind to appreciate what you have, you stop feeling like something is missing. You become content yet still driven. It's a balance that creates inner peace without killing ambition. The Stoic understands that happiness doesn't come from having more, it comes from wanting less. Fear is another illusion that holds people back. Most fears never even become reality, yet they control decisions, actions, and entire lives. The Stoic faces fear directly. Not recklessly, but courageously. Because on the other side of fear is growth. Every time you confront what scares you, you weaken its grip on your mind. Finally, remember this: your mind is your strongest weapon. If you can control your thoughts, you can control your life. The Stoic trains the mind daily, through reflection, awareness, and discipline. Over time, this creates a level of clarity and strength that cannot be shaken by external events. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is ready to grow. Ready to become stronger. More focused. Unshakable. And this is just the beginning. If you want more powerful insights like this that will transform your mindset and your life, make sure you subscribe to my channel right now. Stay with me on this journey, because the strongest version of you is still being built. Most people think strength is loud. They imagine it looks like dominance, control, or constant confidence. But real strength is often invisible. It's the ability to remain steady when everything around you is unstable. It's choosing patience when you could react. It's holding your ground without needing to prove anything to anyone. The Stoic understands that true power doesn't need to announce itself. It reveals itself in moments of pressure. There will be times when life feels unfair. Times when you give your best and still fall short. In those moments, your mindset will determine everything. The weak mind asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic mind asks, "What can this teach me?" That single shift in perspective transforms suffering into growth. It turns obstacles into stepping stones instead of roadblocks. You also need to understand the importance of time. Every moment you waste on negativity, comparison, or regret is a moment you can never get back. The Stoic values time more than anything, because it is the one resource that cannot be replaced. When you start treating your time as something sacred, your priorities begin to change. You become more intentional, more focused, and less distracted by things that don't matter. Another powerful shift comes when you stop taking things personally. People will misunderstand you. They will judge you. Sometimes, they will even try to bring you down. But their actions are a reflection of them, not you. The Stoic sees this clearly. Instead of reacting emotionally, they remain grounded. They don't absorb negativity that doesn't belong to them. And because of that, they stay in control. Consistency is where most people fail. They start strong, full of motivation, but fade when things get difficult. The Stoic takes a different approach. They show up every day, regardless of how they feel. Not perfectly, but consistently. And over time, this steady effort compounds into something powerful. Strength isn't built in one moment. It's built in thousands of small decisions made daily. You must also learn to be comfortable with uncertainty. Life will never be fully predictable. Plans will change. Situations will shift. The Stoic doesn't fear this. They prepare for it. They understand that flexibility is strength. When you stop needing everything to go your way, you become adaptable. And an adaptable mind is extremely hard to break. Another lesson most people overlook is the importance of self-reflection. At the end of each day, the Stoic takes time to review their actions, their thoughts, and their reactions. Not to judge themselves, but to improve. This habit alone can transform your life. Because when you become aware of your patterns, you gain the power to change them. Control your desires, or they will control you. Endless wanting leads to endless dissatisfaction. The Stoic trains themselves to desire less, not because they lack ambition, but because they refuse to be enslaved by external things. When your happiness is no longer dependent on what you have, you become free. And freedom is one of the highest forms of strength. It's also important to understand that not everyone will grow with you. As you become more disciplined, more focused, and more self-aware, some people will feel uncomfortable around you. They may drift away. Let them. Growth requires space. And sometimes that space comes from leaving behind what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. The mind can be your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. Negative thoughts will come, that's unavoidable. But you don't have to accept them as truth. The Stoic questions their thoughts. Challenges them. Replaces them with something stronger, something more rational. This is how you take control of your inner world. There's also power in accepting the worst-case scenario. Not in a fearful way, but in a realistic one. When you prepare your mind for difficulties, you reduce their impact. The Stoic often reflects on loss, change, and hardship, not to feel anxious, but to build resilience. So when challenges do arise, they are not caught off guard. Your environment matters more than you think. The people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the habits you repeat daily, all of these shape your mindset. The Stoic is intentional about what they allow into their life. Because they understand that strength is not just built internally, it's influenced externally as well. At some point, you will face moments where giving up feels easier than continuing. That's where your true character is revealed. Anyone can stay strong when things are going well. But when everything feels heavy, when progress is slow, when results are invisible, that's when discipline must take over. That's when you prove to yourself who you really are. And here's something most people don't realize. Becoming mentally strong is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. It's about understanding your feelings without being controlled by them. It's about responding with clarity instead of reacting with impulse. That balance is what makes you truly unshakable. If you've stayed with me this far, you're already different. Most people would have clicked away. But you're still here, still listening, still growing. And that says a lot about you. It means you're ready for something more. Something deeper. So if you want to continue building this level of mental strength, if you want to develop a mindset that stays calm under pressure and focused in chaos, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. Because this journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's only just beginning. There will come a moment when everything you've been practicing is tested. Not in a comfortable environment, not when you feel ready, but when life catches you off guard. In that moment, you won't rise to the level of your expectations, you will fall to the level of your discipline. This is why the Stoic trains daily. Not for the easy days, but for the difficult ones that reveal who you truly are. You have to become comfortable being misunderstood. When you start thinking differently, acting differently, and refusing to follow the crowd, people will question you. Some will doubt you. Others may even try to discourage you. But the Stoic doesn't chase approval. They stay focused on their path, knowing that clarity often looks like isolation before it looks like success. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is learning to pause. Before reacting. Before speaking. Before making a decision. That brief moment of stillness gives you control. It separates you from impulsive behavior and places you back in command of your actions. Over time, this simple habit can completely transform how you handle pressure. You also need to stop overestimating the importance of every situation. Not everything is a crisis. Not every setback defines your future. The Stoic zooms out and sees the bigger picture. They understand that most problems are temporary, and most worries never become reality. This perspective keeps them grounded, even when things feel overwhelming. Another key to becoming unshakable is keeping your word to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and don't follow through, you weaken your own trust. But every time you stay consistent, even in small ways, you build internal strength. The Stoic treats their own promises with the same seriousness as commitments to others. You must also learn to detach from outcomes. Do your best. Give your full effort. But don't tie your peace of mind to the result. Because outcomes are not always within your control. The Stoic focuses on the process, knowing that true satisfaction comes from effort, not external rewards. There is also strength in humility. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. The Stoic remains a student of life, always observing, always improving. They don't let ego block growth. Instead, they stay open, adaptable, and willing to evolve. Your habits will shape your destiny more than your intentions ever will. You can have the best plans in the world, but without consistent action, nothing changes. The Stoic build strong daily habits, small, repeatable actions that lead to long-term transformation. Over time, these habits become second nature, and discipline becomes effortless. You should also understand that rest is part of strength. This isn't about constant struggle or burnout. It's about balance. The Stoic knows when to push forward and when to recover. Because a clear, rested mind is far more powerful than an exhausted one. Comparison is another silent enemy. The moment you start measuring your progress against others, you lose focus on your own path. Everyone moves at a different pace. The Stoic stays in their lane, focused on self-improvement rather than competition. Because real growth is personal, not performative. At the end of the day, everything comes back to responsibility. Not blaming others. Not waiting for the perfect moment. But taking full ownership of your life. Your thoughts. Your actions. Your future. This level of responsibility is what separates those who remain stuck from those who rise above their circumstances. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear: this path is not easy. It requires patience, discipline, and consistency. There will be setbacks. There will be moments of doubt. But if you stay committed, if you keep showing up, if you keep applying these principles, change is inevitable. You will start to notice it in the way you think, in the way you respond, in the way you carry yourself. Situations that once overwhelmed you will no longer have the same power. You will become calmer, stronger, more in control. Not because life got easier, but because you got better. And that's what being unshakable truly means. If this message is resonating with you, if you feel that shift happening within you right now, then don't stop here. Take action. Start applying these lessons in your daily life. And most importantly, stay connected. Subscribe to this channel right now for more powerful insights that will help you build discipline, clarity, and mental strength. Because the version of you that you're becoming is someone the world cannot shake. There's a quiet moment that comes after you've endured enough, when you stop reacting the way you used to. The same situations appear, the same pressures rise, but something inside you is different. You pause longer. You think clearer. You respond with intention instead of impulse. That's when you realize the work is paying off. Not in loud, dramatic ways, but in subtle, powerful shifts that change everything. You begin to notice that chaos no longer pulls you in. Where others panic, you remain steady. Where others complain, you adapt. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you effective. The Stoic doesn't waste energy wishing things were different. They use that energy to navigate reality as it is. And that's why they move forward while others stay stuck. Another level of strength comes when you stop needing recognition. You do the work even when no one is watching. You stay disciplined even when there's no reward. Because your standard is no longer external, it's internal. The Stoic doesn't rely on applause to stay consistent. Their drive comes from a deeper place, self-respect. You also start to see failure differently. It's no longer something to fear or avoid. It becomes feedback. A guide. A necessary part of growth. Every mistake carries information, and the Stoic uses it to improve. Instead of being discouraged, they become more refined, more focused, more prepared for what comes next. At this stage, distractions begin to lose their grip on you. Things that once seemed important, attention, validation, unnecessary noise, start to feel irrelevant. You become more selective with your time, your energy, and your focus. And this level of clarity allows you to move with purpose instead of drifting through life. You'll also find strength in simplicity. The Stoic life isn't complicated. It's built on a few powerful principles practiced consistently. Control what you can. Accept what you cannot. Act with reason. Stay disciplined. That's it. But mastering these simple ideas is what creates extraordinary results. There will still be hard days. Moments when doubt creeps in, when motivation fades, when everything feels heavier than usual. But now you're equipped. You don't collapse under pressure, you adjust. You don't run from difficulty, you face it. Because you've trained your mind to understand that growth often feels uncomfortable. And perhaps the most powerful change of all is how you see yourself. You're no longer someone who reacts to life. You're someone who shapes it. You take responsibility. You act with intention. You carry yourself with quiet confidence. Not because you believe you're better than others, but because you know you're stronger than who you used to be. This is the transformation most people search for but never commit to. They want the result without the process. The strength without the struggle. But you've seen what it takes. And more importantly, you're still here, still listening, still learning. So now the question is simple: what will you do with this? Will you go back to old patterns? Or will you take the first step toward becoming truly unshakable? If you're ready to keep building this mindset, to keep growing, to keep pushing beyond your limits, then make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. Because every video here is designed to sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and elevate your life. Stay consistent. Stay focused. And remember, the strongest version of you is not something you find. It's something you build, day by day, decision by decision. And your journey is just getting started. And as this journey continues, something even deeper begins to happen. You stop chasing strength, and you start embodying it. It's no longer something you're trying to become. It becomes who you are. In your thoughts. In your habits. In the way you carry yourself through every situation, no matter how unpredictable life becomes. You begin to move with intention. Every action has purpose. Every decision is made with clarity. You no longer act out of impulse or emotion, but from a place of control. And that control creates a kind of peace most people never experience. A steady, grounded presence that doesn't shake easily. At this stage, you also understand the power of boundaries. You no longer allow negativity, distractions, or toxic influences to drain your energy. You protect your time. You protect your focus. Because you've realized that your energy is one of your most valuable assets. And where you invest it determines the direction of your life. There's also a shift in how you handle success. You don't become arrogant. You don't lose yourself in it. Instead, you remain grounded. You stay disciplined. Because the Stoic understands that success is not permanent, just like failure isn't. Both are temporary. What matters is who you are through it all. You'll notice that your confidence becomes quieter, but stronger. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need validation. Your presence speaks for itself. People may not always understand you, but they will feel the difference. And that difference comes from the work you've done internally. Another powerful realization is this: you can endure more than you think. The limits you once believed in start to disappear. You face challenges with a different mindset, not asking if you can handle it, but deciding that you will. This shift alone changes everything. And still, you keep learning. You keep refining. Because the Stoic path is not about reaching a final destination, it's about continuous growth. Every day is an opportunity to improve. To become more aware. More disciplined. More resilient. There will be moments where life tests you again. Unexpected challenges. Sudden changes. Difficult people. But now, you don't see these as threats. You see them as opportunities to apply what you've learned. To strengthen your mindset even further. And here's what makes you truly unshakable. Not that nothing affects you, but that nothing controls you. You feel everything, but you remain in charge of your response. You stay grounded, no matter what happens externally. This is the level most people never reach, not because it's impossible, but because it requires consistency. It requires patience. It requires a willingness to grow even when it's uncomfortable. But you've already come this far. You've already taken steps most people avoid. And that matters more than you realize. So don't stop here. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep practicing these principles. Keep building that inner strength that no one can take away from you. And if you want to keep evolving, to keep sharpening your mindset, to keep becoming stronger with every video, then subscribe to this channel right now. Stay connected. Stay committed. Because the journey to becoming mentally strong and unshakable isn't a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle. And you're already on the path.